Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Building a Great Culture webinar series. I'm Sarah Troop, Director of Engagement Strategy with Motion Connected, and I'll be your moderator today. And if you're joining us, chances are you have been experiencing what so many wellness or HR professionals have, and that is driving employee engagement can be very difficult. It's a real challenge. So today I'm very excited to be joined by three of Motion Connected's incredible engagement specialists, Amanda, Kelly, and Adriana. These ladies bring a wealth of insight from their day-to-day activity with clients and have such unique backgrounds that they really complement each other. Amanda holds a degree in exercise science and health promotion, and she's also worked across nonprofit and small businesses as well as corporate wellness sectors. Kelly has a dual background in psychology and communication with an emphasis on mental health. And Adriana has a degree in wellness and health promotion with a focus on health coaching. So together, we all bring 30 years of combined experience at Motion Connected and probably even double that in the health and wellness fields. Amanda, I thought we'd start if you could just tell us a little bit about what your team does on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, so we are the ones that get to work with our clients day to day. So we bring them on, we do the onboarding with them, we walk them through launch, and then we're really their sounding board throughout their program. And what's unique about our team is that we each manage a set of our own clients, and each set is so different from each other. And because our programs are so flexible, no two clients are the same, which is pretty exciting for us. We get to see a lot and we get to learn a lot.
And that's what we are bringing together today for our audience are the different things that you have learned and try to have a little bit of fun of that. As we were prepping for this topic and talking through, what could we together share as a team with our audience, in our call, you all came up with the number one question that you get from clients. And what was that?
Engagement.
Engagement.
How to get employees engaged.
Really? Over and over again?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that will be the theme of our webinar today. How do we keep people engaged? We'll explore what engagement looks like, what sparks it in the beginning, what sustains it, and maybe even a little bit of what stalls it out. Starting with what your observation is and kind of with the theme of our webinar series, what makes a great culture. Each of you really works with a variety of different types of companies. I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've seen that defines a truly great culture?
Sarah, to me, a great culture is just all about being inclusive. I feel like giving employees, a voice and hearing what they have to say, hearing their wants and needs is super important. And then just really celebrating everyone's kind of differences as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And adding to that, definitely having trust between leaders and employees, and flexibility is huge. With that, I think you see happier employees.
Yeah, I agree with both of those ideas. I think another aspect of a great workplace is one where people feel valued and appreciated for the contributions that they bring to the company. And when it comes to a wellness program, I think that having empathy for your employees is really important. I know sometimes our program admins might feel a little frustrated when they don't see the participation that they'd like to see. But I think it's good to recognize that sometimes we don't always know like what's going on in employees' personal lives and what barriers they might have.
So, what are some things in terms of is it possible to see a culture impact engagement? I'm just curious about that. Do they go hand in hand?
I think they 100% do.
Yeah.
Just coming at it from our side, We get a lot of support requests, people emailing, calling, and you can definitely tell the attitude that the employee has, if it's a positive work culture. Another big one is we offer a survey at the end of the year and just read through the survey comments. Instantly, you can tell, just by the kind of the mood of the comments, if it's a healthy, positive culture or if it's not.
Mhm.
So you can actually feel the culture through the
Hmm.
wellness survey results.
You can, yeah. I think it kind of flows over.
On the flip side, we're going to definitely talk about a lot of great things that we can do to sustain engagement, but I thought it might be interesting. What are some of the things that your team observes that is not working when it comes to workplace wellness?
Yeah, I think one pitfall sometimes leaders fall into is, especially if they have some sort of wellness program platform, is expecting the platform to just kind of run itself. Giving it over to employees and, expecting them to stay on top of it. I think it's really important for admins and program leaders to keep reminding employees about the program and also communicating the why behind the program, any health benefits they could gain or incentives that are being offered. Um, and also another pitfall that I see sometimes is putting pressure, on employees to participate. And I know that, wellness leaders, I think they have good intentions, wanting people to be healthy and stay on top of their preventive care. But I think sometimes putting pressure or singling someone out has the opposite effect. They might, interpret that as an invasion of their privacy or kind of overstepping a little bit.
Yeah, and
That
I
is,
say, oh, go ahead.
would you say it's the same thing, Amanda? Are there different things that you've seen in your experience?
Yeah, I think when introducing a program, right out of the gates, introducing it as a have to program.
Mhm.
It's human nature. We don't want to be told what to do. We want choice. So really giving your employees a choice, maybe having them help create your program, ask them what they want. And another one, I know some people like to, but maybe staying away from like required items, or if it's important to your organization, maybe making it required in a more subtle way. Maybe it's worth more points or, a stepping stone to enter your program, something that a little less harsh than required.
Yes, I agree with you that that choice is a huge
Mhm.
factor in engagement. I feel like when we first started Motion Connected 15 years ago, there were a lot of have-to programs. Take a
Yep.
biometric, attend a lunch and learn, and we will give you all this money. And it's been nice to see through the years wellness get more holistic and more individualized for employees.
Hmm.
How
Yeah.
would you say that leaders can help have employees develop program? That's interesting thought to me. What ways have you seen that employees actually help to direct where a program goes?
I'm a fan of surveys. I
Hmm.
think surveys can go a long way. Ask them what they want to see in a program. Are they participating? If they're not, how come? What would get them to participate in the program?
That's a great suggestion. I think we also sometimes see clients tap into their employees if they have any special skills.
Hmm.
I've seen things like on-site yoga being offered by a teacher who's a teacher and also a yoga instructor. Or I think we just had one the other day too, Adriana, where uh, someone giving a cooking class, I think, to other employees, which is so interesting.
Yeah, and fun.
Definitely fun. How about you, Kelly? Do you have some additional thoughts on this topic as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things when it comes to workplace wellness. There's so many different paths you can take, right? So I don't think there's any right or wrong answer on what you can do, but I mean, going along with what the both of them said, there are things that we kind of stay away from or try to not recommend so much. A couple of things that stand out to me are always awarding like the top person. So could be in, an activity challenge or even a like points-based structure for a wellness program. A lot of times if you award the same person or award the top person, it ends up being the same person, right, over time that we see, being the highest achiever. And it can tend to maybe like not motivate those other employees so much along the way. So kind of just finding a way to award people, if they meet a certain goal versus if they're doing the best overall. And then another one is just to not drag things out for like a really long period of time. So for a step challenge is a great example here too. Doing something for 6 months, at the very beginning, we'd see really high engagement. Everyone would be very excited, but maybe towards the end of it, you see a lot of drop off or burnout and stuff for those employees. So keeping things kind of short and sweet is always better.
Do you guys have a recommendation of what would be the ideal amount of time to run an initiative or a step challenge? Maybe a time frame?
Yeah, I mean, I think for like a step challenge, we try to keep it between like 2 to 6 weeks.
Mhm.
6 weeks would be at the high end for sure. I think anything, longer than that, somebody might have a hard time, especially if it's like a really high step goal you're working towards too. Like you kind of just get tired, you get burnt out, like I said. So I think 2 to 6 weeks is really good.
Do you see that same concept apply if there's things like maybe an entire year worth of tracking your food or tracking your sleep or long-term tracking? Do you see that those tend to stay engaged, or is there a pattern you've observed with those?
Yeah, I mean, I think with activities like that, it depends on how often they're doing it. So, one activity that we do a lot in our wellness programs is like weight checks. But it's something that they only do, once a month. So then they can stretch it out for the whole year and they're only doing it really 12 times. But if it was something like a food tracker where they're doing it every single day, I would think I wouldn't want to push that maybe more than a month.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So all great things to maybe common pitfalls to avoid. Maybe we move on to stuff that is working, maybe some general strategies that you all see that spark and sustain engagement.
Mhm. Yeah, I know Adriana mentioned it a little bit, but definitely promoting the why. When you are launching or you have a program, definitely promote that why. Why are you offering this program to employees? And what I like to tell clients that I work with, really highlight that this is something your employees get to do, not something that they have to do. Um, and just remind them this is, a benefit, again, that they get to do.
Well, that's huge. What else? Anything? What ideas do you have, Adriana?
I think one of my personal favorite suggestions, especially if you are, launching a program for the first time, is hosting a kickoff meeting to really drum up some excitement, maybe give away some prizes. You can even offer, raffles, to people that sign up if you have some sort of platform or activity coming up. And then going forward, I think year over year, it's good to kind of have a similar meeting at least once a year to give a little refresher on the program because we all have, so many things competing for our attention. And so I think, we all have a short term memory with some of these things. So it never hurts to like go over it again and remind people of the benefits and what's available.
Mhm. I definitely agree with that. I think another good way too would be just to add a lot of resources in to the same place. So at Motion Connected, for example, we do a lot of wellness programs for the groups that we work with, but then we also see them adding things into the platform beyond that wellness program. So, some benefits information or an employee handbook. We've seen groups do like time off requests where they actually have to go into our app in order to fill out their time request off form. So just having so many different things in the same place can be helpful. So they know their wellness programs there. They know they can find everything else there, and then they're kind of getting familiarized more.
Mm. So that seems embedding other processes in there seem to be like the creating a reason to log in and engage with their wellness, some sort of stickiness component to it.
Absolutely.
Do you guys have other examples, Adriana or Amanda, do you have examples of that, what other companies do for that
Yeah,
as well?
Adriana just made me think of something with the meetings. It could be starting off your program maybe with a step challenge. Your
Mhm.
program's going to launch. There's a step challenge, maybe a group walk. Thinking of something that can really launch your
Yeah,
program at the start of it.
hmm
kind of giving it that feeling of festivity as you kick
Mhm.
off versus
Yeah.
here's another benefit that you have. A little
I think
mundane piece of paper.
I think sustaining too, Sarah, as kind of just doing things throughout the year, having open and close dates or different activities happen over time versus just creating a spot where someone can complete something right away at the beginning. That'll keep people
Mhm.
moving and engaging throughout the whole year.
Sure. That kind of goes back to those four-step programs. I mean, they could just do it all in the beginning of the year and be done. We
Yeah.
all know that health and well-being is a day-to-day process for us, and so of course it is going to be for employees too.
Mhm.
Oh,
I think it's
mhm,
nice to tie into like other benefits that, a company offers that are really,
mhm,
tie into wellness. I think a lot of people don't know that maybe the company health plan, if they're on it, has free virtual visits, or maybe there's, you offer an EAP and people don't realize that, a lot of EAPs offer more than counseling. So if you have an intranet or a platform and you can embed some of those resources into it, that gives people naturally another reason to check in on the wellness platform.
oh yeah, absolutely great suggestion. And kind of goes back to your idea that the platform itself is not the program, right? The platform's there to
Right.
amplify all these great offerings, which usually just aren't a single thing, um, all in one place. Oh, that's awesome. Well, those are, like kind of covered some of your general strategies. And there are maybe more some specific ways that can focus on today that drive engagement. What are some of these stand-up ways? I mean, one of them is really a big thing is I think is recognizing employees and what they're doing. Such a key to employee engagement overall is letting employees know they're valued, they're seen, and that their efforts don't go unnoticed. This is probably one of the more fun things that we can talk about today. What are some of those standout ways you've seen employers recognize employees?
One fun and easy way that I've seen time and time again is just simply taking pictures. So if you can take a little time to recognize different health observances throughout the year, whether that's like Wear Red Day for heart health or, National Walking Day. Taking some pictures, you can throw them into a collage and send it out in an email. I think people really enjoy, seeing what their colleagues are up to. And then if step tracking is a part of your program, I think that lifetime step achievements are a really cool way to recognize, people who've had long-term dedication to the program. So that would be things like, a 500,000, a million plus steps over, the time they've been in the program.
Oh, that is really fun. I do remember a client that had like these little tennis shoes, and she would print the milestones on the tennis shoes, and it was a factory, and she'd put them outside of the time clock area, and everybody was trying to get their name up on a tennis shoe based on a lifetime achievement.
Oh, I love that. I had a client to do a meeting where they put up like everybody's names, on a slide for those who'd hit a million plus steps, and it was really cool. It was kind of a little surprise.
Oh, yeah, and it's a great motivator to those that haven't done it yet, I bet.
Mhm.
I think you can take that same concept into really anything. So, just shout outs in general is a really simple way to kind of recognize your employees. So, if they're, reached a certain milestone or hit a really big goal, putting their name out there in a newsletter or a post or an email, or maybe just in the beginning of a company meeting, mentioning it there. I think it's always good to just show that you care and show that recognition right away. Um, Another way too, I think, in testimonials I've seen before from groups. So employees giving a testimonial on, what worked well for them, which I think is super cool because you're giving recognition to that employee once you share that. But then it's also kind of encouraging other employees to hop on board with it too.
Really great idea.
And that's great with promotion, because for the people that aren't participating, they'll start seeing names out there. People are being recognized. People are winning things. They'll kind of wonder, well, how do I get my name up there? How do I win prizes? And that's what kind of builds up your program.
Are you alluding to fear of missing out, Amanda?
Yeah, a little bit. Yep, it's a thing. It's real. It's real.
It is real. Okay, so maybe choice is my number one engagement strategy. I would say FOMO is number two. If you can create excitement with what your participants and those that are engaging are doing, and then make that very well known to everybody, including those that
Mhm.
aren't, it really creates a buzz and it makes people start wondering, what am I missing out on? So
Yep.
that is really fun. By the way, we will be recording this webinar. You'll have access to it, but also we are going to make a document with all of our ideas that come up from the recording as an engagement infographic for you all. So recognition is really powerful and can often be free when we're talking, tennis shoe, the posters, you can make handmade certificates, recognize people newsletters and emails. But obviously, we know that there is a bit of a monetary component that can be helpful, that being incentives. So the recognition's there to really spark that motivation and get people going. Incentives can also be that spark and play a role in sustaining. But I would say one of the biggest questions we get all of the time is, what type of incentives actually work? What are some incentive ideas? We actually wrote a blog, I think 10 years ago, and every single year it's still our number one blog, because it just really sounds like people are looking for this information. And how much is enough to make an impact? So last year we did do a national survey with our own clients and non-clients nationwide to try to get some answers to those questions. And you can see on the chart some interesting things here, like the average incentive amount per our survey last year was $737 annual budgeted amount per employee. And we still see cash and gift cards as the number one incentive, but still premium discounts is a big deal. I think is really interesting. I'd love to hear from you guys why we think premium discounts work. And then we did see a correlation in incentive amount and average participation rate. So the higher incentive, the higher participation. And I guess that makes sense. We would all agree with that, with one exception. Drawings and raffles, which is more gamification of incentives, actually came in higher, even though it probably was a lower budgeted item than the under $100 per year and the $100 to $250 per year. So some interesting statistics. But are you guys still seeing people do premium incentives, and why do we think that works?
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely something that I still see. I think it can be really effective because healthcare is really expensive no matter who you are.
Mhm.
So, if and when you have an opportunity to save some money on it, people really take notice of that. I know over the years, as I've seen, support questions that we receive, a lot of times people will start out their question with, I have to get my steps in because I'm getting my insurance discount. So it's definitely on the top of people's minds.
Uh, it's just an interesting concept. It's really difficult to get healthcare insurance anywhere other than your employer. I think we all want to pay the least amount we possibly can. So it is a real motivator to try to get discounts on that. I'd love to grab some more incentive ideas from you, but before I jump off the slide, we are right now running our 2025 engagement trend survey where we'll be asking similar questions and we'll be doing comparison year over year. So you can grab that QR code to participate in this year's survey and you'll receive a copy of that survey. But again, ideas is what people are always asking us, so what ideas do you see other clients do and how are they driving engagement with those incentives?
Mhm.
Can you guys add beyond premium adjustments? What other types of things do you all see?
Yeah, I'd say we definitely get that question. What are other companies doing? What are they offering? What's the dollar amount?
Mhm.
I would kind of start from the beginning and maybe take a look at your demographic. Each organization is so different and what works is so different. If you have a real young culture, real young employees, maybe the premium wouldn't be, so enticing to them. Or if you have high earning employees, maybe like a vacation day or maybe something more tangible will grab their attention. Or if you have the company where money matters, maybe that's where the gift cards or the drawings or something they can earn throughout the year would draw them in. So I would definitely say take a look at your employee base, your demographic, and kind of go from there. But I know these two have some more fun ideas for the incentives and what
No, but
they've
that is
seen.
an amazing tip. What's in it for your employees? What do they care about
Mhm.
the most? So I love starting with evaluating that.
Or maybe offering different. I don't see many groups offering, but maybe you have choice. Do you want to earn this incentive or that incentive? It could be different for different populations or different groups.
That makes sense. I like that.
Right. I had one client, and I thought this was a super fun idea. They had some various different prizes throughout the year, but at the end of the year, they did a big raffle for everyone who participated in the program, where they gave away a kayak or mountain bike package. And, potentially that could be a budget friendly idea. I mean, obviously those are expensive items, but, you're only giving away one. And I think people were really interested, really wanting to be in that raffle and have at least a chance at winning that.
Mhm.
Kayak. That's a really awesome gift
It's so
and
fun.
option.
I personally love when any incentives kind of tie back into wellness in some way. So incentivizing with, water bottles or fitness bands. We see like Fitbit devices or healthy meal kits. So anything like that that kind of has the idea of wellness behind it, just something that your employees are going to want, they might even need. And then it also kind of brings your whole point back together of why you're doing the wellness program. So those are my favorite ones. But then, of course, there's a lot of budget friendly ideas too. So we see PTO days, dress down days, company swag if it's a smaller thing, a work from home day. So there's lots of options when it comes to incentives.
That has been something very effective I've seen companies do the last 2 to 3 years. Kelly, is what you're saying with the swag, but like making it very specific about the wellness program. And the only way you can get that particular piece is by just participating in the wellness program. So then
Mhm.
now you got the FOMO thing, Amanda, that you had said. And you have people walking around with a special Yeti or lunchbox or bag that only those your engagement.
Oh, you're cutting
We
Program.
off a
lost
little
the
bit.
voice.
Oh, sorry. You
How's
went silent
it?
for me,
You
Okay.
might
but you're
you
back.
might have cut out a little bit there.
Okay. So yeah, everything good now?
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. So yes, some sort of swag that markets your program. Maybe and
Mhm.
a lot of people name their wellness program. So putting the name of the wellness program logo onto that piece of swag.
Mhm. Yeah, that's
My other.
another good one. Theming your program, having some sort of theme. And I'm
Mhm.
seeing a lot more groups or clients like kind of like pay out throughout the year, so they don't wait till the very end of the program where you're going to earn your incentive. They do little things throughout the year. So maybe it's They can award for certain challenges, if you meet the goal and do a drawing, or the points that you earn, or just something that could kind of keep them going, getting something
Mhm.
throughout the year.
Yeah, shorten or increase the frequency of the opportunity to
Hmm.
earn the initiatives. Yeah, a year is a long time. It does
Can
work
be.
really nice for premium, but some fun things along the way to keep up excitement.
Hmm.
hmm I think other two that I usually like to share with people, yeah, it doesn't have to cost much. I know Amanda and I worked on a group where they wanted to do a company survey, or no, company trivia. Remember that, Amanda?
Mm,
And
yeah. Mhm.
they were trying to drive people to their program, to their platform, and they offered a branded pizza cutter. And they went from 400 participants and making it their own with this company trivia, and to 600 participants with just a pizza cutter. Like anything's possible,
Yep.
right? Oh, so yes. So beyond incentives, I think another component that everyone agree upon that is important to engagement is the role of leadership and their support of the program and their visibility and communication around the program. This is always a hard one, right? I mean, Amanda, when we talked about this, you kind of looked at leadership in two different ways, the way you
Hmm.
defined it. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, when I think about it, I think about the leadership that the admins of the program are getting. So the ones that run the wellness programs, maybe don't always feel that they have the leadership support. Maybe feel like you're out on an island by yourself running the program. So I would encourage those to find people that can help you. Who are the ones with a lot of energy that always get involved in things or like to get involved in things. Those that maybe just love wellness, maybe they are on their own journey and they would love to help you. Um, those super performers, or maybe um, bringing on your middle managers too. Those are the ones that are seeing your employees every day. Can they help maybe start a meeting mentioning the wellness program, or helping you get people engaged? Last idea could be a wellness committee. Do you have 3 or 4 people that would love to come together, meet, and help you organize and promote the program? So just knowing you don't have to do it alone, find somebody to help you.
That's a great tip for those that are running programs. Um, Adriana,
Mhm.
do you have a few things in addition to that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with Amanda that and running a wellness program, it's a team effort, and there's lots of different people who can play a role in that. If you do, if your company happens to have a CEO who is passionate about wellness, I think having them, speak to that can really drive home how important wellness is at a company. I have had a couple recent examples where I saw this in action, and it was very cool. One company had a CEO who loved step challenges, and she also loves Wonder Woman. And so she kind of had her Wonder Woman spotlight at the beginning of all staff meetings where she'd give little updates about the wellness program. So she just like made it really fun. And then also, I heard about the CEO of a hospital system who made a point to drop in on all new employee onboarding to talk about how important the wellness program is. And I can only imagine, how impactful that was for those employees. Probably not very typical for hospital CEOs to do something like that. So again, I know it's not something every company has, but if you do have, a CEO who's passionate or someone in the C-suite, they can really be a champion for wellness.
No, and those C-suite individuals are so busy and are overseeing so many different things. Maybe they just haven't thought of some of these ideas of how they
Mhm.
could be visible to the program, or that they
Right.
can really cause a ripple effect by just just doing one little thing in terms of, whether it's onboarding, an onboarding meeting, like you had mentioned, Adriana, or what are we looking at here, Kelly? I think this is one of your client examples, where their CEO put themselves out there, it looks like.
Mhm. Yeah, this is one of my absolute favorite examples of a CEO kind of being in that leadership support role. One of my groups, they were doing a step challenge, and so we used a picture of their CEO on all of their promotional flyers when they sent those out to kind of get everyone excited about it. So it was super fun because and they can clearly see him on the challenge posters. They know he's going to be participating. It kind of brings up that motivation. But then not only was he just on those posters, every week they would send out little like fun facts about the group and how they were doing, and they would always include their CEO's step average for that week. So then everyone could kind of see like where they were in comparison to him, and it definitely made people kind of step it up every time. So that was a really really fun challenge.
I love this. This is great. We've also seen where maybe leaders, both kind, either those that are running the program or in the C-suite, have recorded just an intro video, something really simple, really easy. Hey, we care about you. Here's why um, wellness matters at our corporation. Something under 30 seconds. And then that video can be distributed to new hires, to employees before a meeting. Maybe it's just really a little like prompting of these leaders to do a little bit more by giving them some different ideas. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Maybe they don't know what they need to do, so maybe they just need to be asked. And it reminds me, we have a couple cities that use our platform, and every year they'll do a city versus city. So they'll do a step challenge where they compete. In a couple of years, they both asked their mayors to kind of put a little clip to kind of challenge each other. So they put that video together and they sent it out. So, maybe the mayors wouldn't have thought to do that on their own, but they went and just asked and helped set it up for them. So
Yeah.
I
And
think you make a good point with.
wasn't there a plus or a negative with the mayors that won or lost? I don't know, a tie that had to be cut one time or a t-shirt that had to be
Yeah,
worn.
they definitely did some type of, if we win, then this, if we lose, then that. I
Yeah.
think now they
Yes.
have a traveling trophy that they
Ooh.
travel with. They added on another city. So it's Tri-City Challenge. I think there's a trophy that travels around.
Well, those are really great tips, and maybe it's hopefully giving some ideas of what people can do and go back and encourage their leadership team to be part of. On just like a general fun note, right? Like initiatives, I feel like we've hit on some step challenges a bit, and those can be really fun and they're easy to do. But what else? Like, what else are some creative initiatives that you guys feel really drive engagement or create a measurable impact?
I would love to just start there with the step challenges, kind of get that, we have been talking about those a little bit. And it is really a great way to get things creative because if you can put different themes on your challenges, you can do them around, different metrics. So always super fun from a creative standpoint. I know I've seen groups do like men versus women, summer versus winter. We've seen March Madness challenges, so a whole bunch of different creative things. I know Amanda's seen a lot of really fun ones too. Did you have any to add to
Yeah,
that?
definitely step challenges are here. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think people love step challenges. And I think you can just get creative. I've seen um, uh, someone put together like a golf game. So there was a hole for each challenge, and the steps correlated to the amount of hits it took. Baseball game they did, or maybe race across America, but they had coast to coast, and the teams were different cars. So the participants picked what car that they wanted to drive in. So I think it's just kind of getting creative, fun, yeah, keeping it interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think if your company has different departments or different locations, a lot of companies really enjoy setting up team challenges where each department or location is a team. And I'm also just thinking like how much of an impact a simple step challenge can really make. I'm still, um, after so many years, surprised to see the difference it can make. A lot of our clients will do an end of year survey, and people often comment about, how much they love the step challenges. And I've I've seen multiple times, over the years, comments where people said, I quit smoking so that I could walk more. And that just like completely blows my mind and I think is so awesome. And, it's not even necessarily something we talk about on Motion Connected, but is become a result of the step challenges.
Oh, any creative ideas to get across more holistic health, some emotional well-being, tactics, nutrition. I feel like one thing I hear from you guys that everyone's always asking for are bingo cards. Like all the time, everybody wants bingo. I mean, what kind of things like what other ideas do you see that are just kind of fun and creative?
Yeah, I think of bingo cards a lot, or I know we've talked to before about a poker kind of challenge, or I feel like theming things around like activities like that people like, involving wellness in some way can just be fun in general. But I know I have a group that does their own like create a well-being goal, which is super, super fun. But also it's really cool because employees can kind of pick their own route with it. So if they feel like their goals are around mental health or financial health, they can pick whatever that is at the beginning of the year, and then they kind of spend their time adjusting to or trying to reach that goal throughout the year and doing little things along the way. So I love that idea of choice. I think it's a creative option in general, but I also think employees really like it and something they've been continuing to do year after year.
Something really simple I've seen different companies do is offering some points for telling them how they used a PTO day or how they used their summer vacation,
Hmm.
which is also a great way to encourage, work-life balance in your staff. Um, and then going along with the slide that we have up now, something that you can do to kind of touch on other areas or just bring employees together for some fun is to start clubs. And one of our clients, Iowa Specialty Hospitals, this past year they started the Back of the Pack Club, which I think is a really fun take on a running club. So the idea was that, to be a runner or run your first 5K, it's not about being the fastest. It's, more about the journey and achieving a goal. And so they brought together a group, I think, of 15 or 20 people to train for the summer. And then they got to run in their first 5K together.
I love that.
That's my kind of running group, to be honest. And the goal is to be in the back of the pack. I love that. Anything else pop into your head in terms of fun ideas? Kind of have some of those covered. Good, good. Well, we always like to wrap up with just final advice. And so I know there's just so many things that we can do from an engagement perspective. We talked about leadership and incentives and fun ideas. I loved hearing about the kickoff meetings. I loved hearing about the recognition. Pictures, I would have to say pictures have been new to me in the last couple of years, Adriana. We didn't seem to do that a long time ago where we were always sharing pictures and now it's so fun. So, but if you could just pick one thing, one piece of advice, what would you leave our audience with today?
Yeah, I would say maybe put, realistic or have realistic expectations for your program. Don't put too much pressure on yourself, if, not everybody, 100% of people participate, because that's not really a realistic goal. Instead, focus on all that your program is accomplishing and the difference it is making for those who participate.
Great.
I have two. Make it fun, keep it interesting, and ask your employees what they want.
That's great.
Mhm. Those are awesome. I think my biggest advice would just be to lean on others when you need to. I know, like our team at Motion Connected, we're always here to help our groups whenever they need new creative ideas or fresh content. But even just leaning on your employees, leaning on other people in the wellness world for help. Employee wellness can be, a challenging thing, and I think everyone helping each other ends up making things a little more simple.
All right, those are really, really great tips. I appreciate the three of you and everything you guys do on a daily basis. You are an amazing team, and anyone that gets to work with you, I think, sees that. If you would like to connect with us or stay in touch with ideas, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I am connected to Adriana, Amanda, and Kelly, so you can find them there. We're happy to take any questions people have. You can submit them into the questions bar. One more plug for something fun, fun ideas and actually fun freebie gifts is this year Motion Connected started our Great Culture Club. It is a helpful resource newsletter and mailings that we do every other month. So I should have had one up, but we're mailing out this Friday. So really fun positive affirmation window clings for May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so anyone that's in our Great Culture Club this month will be getting those window clings mailed to them. And so, yeah, it's fun and just a great resource because that's part of our mission of building a healthier tomorrow. So we appreciate you tuning in. Let's see if there was a question. Yes, one thing. What tips does your team have for keeping programs fresh and different? I think we
I
kind of
think
did that a little bit, but there probably is an actual rhythm to keeping things fresh, right? What's the first
mhm.
thing that popped in your head, Kelly?
I always think of just changing things up throughout, like a wellness program during the year. So if you're going to do, focus on water in the first month, focus on mental health in the second month, kind of just changing those target ideas around and making sure that there's something that's in there for everyone.
I think that's a great
Mhm.
answer. Anything additional, or Amanda? You
Let me
look
see
like
if
you're trying.
Adriana's popping in here.
Yeah, well, I kind of thought, I know, Amanda, you brought this up already, but surveys are such a great way to at least get some ideas. I think often there's some people on the team that have some really cool ideas to share. So that's a great resource.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think, keeping up with the trends, are there certain trends that are going on right now? Or even like I know what we try to do, but usually each month has like May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so maybe if you're looking for ideas, see what that month is. Like February Heart Health Month. So maybe that's what you kind of base the material or resources on.
Yeah, wonderful suggestions. And that is a good goal to have, keeping things fresh. So, again, well, thank you, ladies, and thank you, audience, for joining us today. And we look forward to staying in touch with everyone.
Thank you.
All right, thanks
Thanks.
everyone.